So I just want to start off by saying hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Messengers show. I am your host, Mark Porteous, and I'm really excited about sharing our call today. This series is created to inspire, educate, and motivate you to share and to recognize your own unique gifts with the world. I'm blessed to work with amazing mentors and teachers who are aligned with my mission to empower inspired messengers with the tools and support they need to thrive in their purpose of transforming lives. Now, I believe that we all have a message that can benefit others, and some are inspired to share their message professionally as coaches, authors, speakers, and healers, while others share their message in their personal life as parents, volunteers, and role models. And no matter how you choose to share your gifts, we're here to support you. So if you have any questions that come up during this call, please write them down. You can email us at the team at inspiredmessengersnetwork.com. And be sure to sign up for a free membership at inspiredmessengersnetwork.com to access training and resources to help you. Your message may be meant for just a handful of people, or even just one. But perhaps there are hundreds or thousands or even more that could benefit from the lessons of your experience. Every life that you touch creates a ripple effect that reaches farther than you can imagine. And the more people that you can reach, the more ripples of positive change that you can create. Our guest today is going to help you increase your visibility so you can make a greater impact in the world while enjoying more meaning, freedom, and abundance in your life. Louise Crooks, aka the Keys to Clarity Coach, is an inspiring holistic business coach, radio show host, speaker, and co-author of Stepping Stones to Success, featured alongside Jack Canfield and Deepak Chopra. She brings an intuitive as well as pragmatic quality to her coaching, moving clients from a powerful vision of what they want to achieve in their business to creating a prosperous reality. It's her mission to ensure solopreneurs create success through authentic visibility to create the lifestyle they desire, make a difference, and promote inner and outer healing in the world while having fun doing it. That's a big part of it. Hello, Louise. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. It's great to be back again. It's always wonderful to connect with you and play with you and talk to your community as well. So I'm really glad to be here.
Well, I'm really glad that you're here as well. Again, I feel like we are very well aligned, speaking to the same people, and you've been doing this for a long time. You've been very, very helpful in helping other messengers be seen and be heard. And so I'm really grateful for the work that you're doing and grateful for our friendship.
Thank you, Mark. Me too.
And we met about 3 years ago in a networking group. And again, I felt this instant connection and a deep alignment with you and your work. And like I said, you've helped so many thousands of soul-driven business owners and coaches, healers, and transformational authors to grow their business with clarity and focus. How did you know that this was your audience, and how did you get started in helping them?
That's a great question, Mark. It was a fairly long journey, I think, but once I twigged, it all kind of fell into place. But there are a number of things that contributed to choosing the tribe that I serve, and mainly part of my journey has been a spiritual one, and I've been on my own spiritual and self-development journey, I would say, since 2000, and so it's always nice to be able to hang out with people you love to, who support the way that you think and feel. And that's really wonderful. And then from a healing perspective, I've done a lot of healing. I think when you go on that kind of journey, you go on a healing journey, as well. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of healing to do. I think emotionally and also some physical healing as well. So I've struggled with migraines since I was about 21 years old, and so I've always been looking for new ways to support myself with that particular challenge, and looking at lots of different alternative healers and therapies, and trying to steer away from the Western medicines, which tend to be so aggressive and hard on the body. And so, not that I discount Western medicine, I think, we can have a good integration of the two. Yeah, so migraines, I had my own emotional healing journey. I had a terrible relationship with my mother when I was growing up, and it was only in 2000, when I was about, what would that make me, 32, that I was able to let go and forgive and heal from that. And it really, now there's no charge around the story of my past, as a young adult and teenager with my mum. It's completely different now. And in fact, that journey allowed me to shift my relationship with my mother. And she actually died very suddenly about 10 years ago. And so I had 5 amazing years with her, where we were really close. And that was a real gift. So, I know that this healing work and this transformational work makes a huge difference in people's lives. I know that it has mine, so I just felt very drawn to this group of people. And then when I actually started coaching, I was working as an external coach for T. Harv Ekker's organization, Success Tracks, and I got a unique chance to work with a lot of different people. And the people that I just loved working with and had a real resonance with and aligned with were this group of people, the coaches and the healers, the people that really wanted to make a difference and do some kind of work that had some meaning to them. So it all sort of lined up.
Well, that's beautiful, because there's a couple of things that came out of that for me. One, I completely agree with you that when you're on this journey, it is a spiritual journey, and it is also always a healing journey. I didn't realize myself the healing that I had to go through. I thought I just grew up in a charmed life and wasn't even aware of it until I started in this field. And the other thing that came up for me was just that this is such a big part of how you help your people is to understand who their tribe is and how they go through the whole process of it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that at length in other interviews, but today we're going to be talking more about visibility. And
that's close to my heart as well, Mark. Part of my journey has been around finding my own voice. I want to just answer, sort of, it's kind of like the second half of your question around, how did I come to serve this tribe and what am I doing to serve them? It's helping them step into that visibility piece for themselves. It encompasses so many different aspects of their business, but a lot of us have resistance to visibility, and including myself, which is part of the, we teach what we most need to learn. So I've been on a journey since my recruitment days in corporate, where I've started to come out of myself and to recognize that there's this journey that happens, as we grow and recognize how we might be holding ourselves back. And even last year, I had a bit of a shock when I realized that I was still shying away from visibility. Like, oh, damn, I thought I had solved that one.
That's such an important point. I really wanted to re-emphasize that you said we often teach what it is that we most need to learn. And I think a lot of people feel like, well, if they're still going through the learning process, how are they going to help others? But it is part of the process. And so for me, understanding what it is that I want to learn and being able to actually go out and teach, as I'm teaching that, I'm learning it more and more and incorporating it into my own life. So I think that's a major piece of it. For anybody who's not really sure how they can, what their message is all about, that's a good place to start. But this whole visibility thing, I think, is a really important issue. There's something that I learned from some of my clients in Australia called the tall poppy complex, where nobody wants to stand out, because if you stand out, you're going to get your head chopped off like a poppy. And here in the United States, I think that around the world, we might be seen as more confident or even arrogant at times, where we are all, show me, look at me. But a lot of the people in our industry, the people who are healers and messengers, have something really important to share, but I think a lot of us are so afraid of coming off as being arrogant, or that we hold back. What do you see as the big resistance that we often have for this visibility?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It is a journey, and I think it really is pertinent to this community that we're talking about this, because I think part of it is that we are very attached to what it is that we're putting out there. There's a personal attachment to it, so it's almost like there's a personal reflection in regards to what we're putting out there and how we're putting out there. So, I think that's part of it. If you're in a corporate environment and you're working for someone else, it doesn't quite have the same experience. And I've spoken to a lot of clients about this. They say, "Oh, I didn't have any problem doing this when I was in the corporate world. It wasn't an issue, and now I'm doing it for myself. It's it feels really different." And so I think that's part of it, is just that we have such a deep connection to what we're doing. So when we're looking at the results and the outcome of what we're doing, we're very attached to that. And so I think that's part of it as well. There's so many different reasons why we resist visibility, but I think how I want to see it, and in the copy and what we sent out, we were talking about slaying the dragon, the visibility dragon, and really how I would actually change that, and I would say we're taming the visibility dragon. We don't want to slay the visibility dragon, and it feels like a big dragon in our lives a lot of the time, because we're venturing into this marketing aspect of our businesses, and it feels uncomfortable a lot of the time. So part of stepping into this visibility is a fear of the unknown, when we come out of our training. But what we want to do when we have fear around anything is we want to befriend it. We don't want to repress it or push it away or slay it. We want to actually befriend it. And so I think part of this call is really about us taming the visibility dragon. It's an opportunity for us to see how we can create marketing in a way that feels good to us. I think part of the resistance that we have around visibility and marketing and putting ourselves out there, Mark, is that it's how we perceive marketing to be. It's that whole marketing and sales thing. People are allergic to those words.
Yes.
Because it's very much connected to this old paradigm of how businesses in the last 30 to 50 years have been promoting themselves, and it's been a very much a push it on you kind of an attitude, and it's very consumeristic, and so of course we're going to be turned off by that. And so a lot of the time we also don't want to be connected to that in any way. And so the reality is that we do have to do it. If we run a business, we do have to put ourselves out there. We do have to sell ourselves, sell our services, sell our message, but it's how you do it and how you put yourself out there. And I think this is, again, part of the taming the visibility dragon. It's really about alignment, and feeling good about how you're doing it, so you feel in integrity with the kind of things that you're doing.
And I think that leads into the next question, because we're talking again about visibility. What do you think are the top two things that we want to know when we dive into creating visibility?
Yeah, great. Well, I think these two things hinge on everything that we're doing as inspired messengers. And as I just mentioned, it's all about alignment. If you want to feel good about stepping into marketing, good about stepping into visibility, I think one, it's about first of all, getting clear on the purpose work that you're doing. What is that thing that you're putting out into the world that is going to make the difference, or that you really feel a calling to do or to be heard around. So having that clarity, and then so that's the first thing, is the purpose work. What is the actual work that you're putting out into the world? And I think a lot of the time, you and I both connect with people who have already figured that piece out, and are now looking to create a business around it. And this is the second piece, is figuring out which group of people that you want to serve. And sometimes we might call that a niche or a target market. We might even go as far as to say it's your ideal client. And that person or that type of client, that group of people that you want to serve, really is different to this broad range of people that you could actually probably help. I mean, the reality is that if you're an acupuncturist or you're a health coach or a life coach, you could serve a very large group of people with your knowledge and skills. But the truth is that from a marketing perspective, and from the perspective of your audience and how they receive the messages, if it's a broad message, they don't necessarily relate to it themselves. They don't necessarily grasp onto that as if it's, yes, this is for me, because the message is often too broad. And that's a big mistake, actually, that a lot of soul-driven business owners make at the very beginning of their businesses, where they feel like, oh, well, I'm going to start broad and then I'll start seeing where my specialization comes in. And I think, if you can choose that earlier rather than later, it's actually going to benefit you way more, and it's going to help you help more people.
And I completely agree. The idea of, first of all, starting with alignment, that's one of the lessons that I've really learned over the last year. It's really easy to get drawn into a lot of the gurus and the trainings and all of that stuff, and you start to sway from what's true to you, your own values and beliefs. And I know that when I am deeply aligned with my values and I stick to my core beliefs, that everything just seems to go much smoother. I attract the right partners, the right clients, and everything else. So that's a very important place to start.
Definitely.
And the go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. You brought up the whole beliefs and values thing as well, which is really important when you're aligning yourself and your business with what you're doing. But from a visibility perspective, I think that's where we also get caught up in this seeing it as a dragon that we need to slay, because often the way that we perceive marketing and visibility is in a tangent, or at a tangent to what we believe about marketing, our own values about marketing. And so often what we do is we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, when it comes to visibility and marketing and all of those things. So yeah, beliefs and values, they just affect everything, don't they?
And it is the starting point. I mean, it's really the way to figure out who you are. Because again, you were talking about alignment, and that a lot of times we teach what it is that we need to know. So what I have seen is that my clients are a reflection of me, that I'm attracting people much like myself. So by being very clear to myself of who I am, I'm better able to attract those people effectively.
Yeah, definitely. It all starts with us, doesn't it? And it kind of ends with us too. It's not this kind of me, but it's really about, yes, it is actually all coming from within us. The way that we put ourselves out there, how we align with our clients, is understanding who we are, and also it's understanding, how we're holding ourselves back as well.
You're right. And the same thing when you're talking about niching, there's so many different lessons that each one of us have learned in our life that we could teach on almost any one of those.
Yes.
But when you find out what are the most important things that you've learned yourself, that really helps you to identify more who you can help, and be really, really clear on that niche.
Yeah, absolutely. And niching goes that little bit further, when it's like, what you just mentioned there, Mark. It's not just about a group of people. It's really, what are you helping them to what challenge are you helping them to solve? What is the issue that they're dealing with, that you can uniquely step into to help them to resolve? So that's part of it.
And again, you've got an incredible program on helping people to find their niche and to get greater clarity. So we could talk a whole bunch just on that part of it, but more on the visibility part. What do you see as some of the key elements that we need to be able to step into creating visibility and working our marketing strategies more fully.
Yeah, awesome. So there are a couple of different components, three components, as you mentioned, and they're things that we don't always think about initially, but it's good to give them some thought. And I actually go into this in a lot more depth actually in a program that I run called the Visibility Jumpstart. But just in short, what it is one, we need to think about the kind of business model we want to create, and that relates to how we relate to the world, and also the kind of lifestyle we want to create for ourselves. And I'm not talking about lifestyle from the point of view of $1 million mansion lifestyle. I'm talking about lifestyle from the point of view of how much flexibility do you want in your life? You know, how many hours do you want to be working each day? Do you want to be hanging out with your kids, you know, when they come home from school? You know, do you want to travel a lot? You know, so that's going to dictate or define what you want your business to look like. And so it also will help you figure out, you know, the type of programs and offerings that you'll be making based on those wants and desires. So, you know, you can design your business model around that, and it's important to do that. So when you align with those pieces, part of the business model is also figuring out, and one of my mentors talks about this, it's about figuring out if you are someone who prefers a more intimate experience with people. So in other words, you like working one-on-one with people as opposed to working online with them. Some people are information driven, so it might be that you are just really happy not to be talking to people directly, but you want to be creating information products, you know, and selling online products like that. Some people are more inspiration focused, and innovations focused. So we want to be looking at those pieces as well to figure out, you know, what's going to be the best fit for you and how you're going to create this business model that's going to support the visibility that you're putting in place, you know, the visibility strategies you're putting in place. So that's the first one. The second one is your learning styles. So every person is different, and this is often discussed when you learn about NLP or neuro-linguistic programming. They talk about learning styles, and we go into a little bit more detail around this in the Visibility Jumpstart. But each of us has a preferred learning style, you know, whether it's visual, audio, kinesthetic. There's a number of different styles, and we want to recognize where we tend to focus, you know, whether it might be when you're creating webinars or whether you're creating teleclasses. There's a difference because there's a visual component and then there's an audio component. And you also want to be thinking about your audience and what their particular learning styles tend to focus in around. So, for example, if you're serving if you're serving a market, maybe it's you're a life coach serving people who are going through their life transition. They're at the end of life transition. They're not going to be on teleclasses and webinars and things like that. So you want to figure out what that learning style is going to be of your clients. And again, it might be if you're serving boomers or baby boomers or people who are in retirement age, you know, where are they reading and learning and picking up their information from? So that's part of it. And then also for you, you know, if you feel like you love writing, for example, you're going to favor that over maybe doing videos. And we want to look at all this stuff, you know, and see, you know, what's going to be a good fit from the point of view of a visibility strategy. You know, is it going to be articles or blog writing, or is it going to be doing videos and YouTube? You know, we want to make sure that, you know, some of the resistance falls away around creating visibility because you're choosing something based on your learning style, and also the third part, which is the strategies. that we already do. So we talked about the business model, we talked about the learning styles, and then the third one is actually the strategies we already do. So we do them naturally, we don't even think about them. So often it might be that, say for example, you enjoy writing, and so we want to look at ways to leverage that particular strategy that you love to do already, rather than pushing you down this road of, oh, videos are the hottest thing right now and you need to be doing them. You know, that's gonna turn someone off. I'm sorry, this is not gonna go off until it's finished. We'll just have to go through it. So yeah, so you know, we don't want to push people down a path of creating a strategy that is not a natural fit for people. And I'm talking about soul-driven business owners who are really in that sort of first stage of business where they're trying to figure out all this stuff for themselves, and they can't necessarily spend money on other people doing other stuff for them. So, you know, if you're at a stage in your business where, you know, you feel like you can spend the money, you know, and take on those expenses where you do have someone who's helping you with videos and it's not your forte, but you know that it could be really helpful in your market, then yes, then that's the perfect time to start, you know, venturing out into different strategies that might not necessarily feel as comfortable for you. What we want to do here is tame the visibility dragon for you and get you going with marketing rather than feeling like you're resisting it. So there you go.
Beautiful. So I've got thoughts on all of those, and thank you very much for making it so simple. There's 3 little things that we're looking at.
I hope it sounded simple. When I was listening to myself, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not sure that this is coming across very simply.
Well, I think by repeating that, the 3 steps are the knowing your business model, your learning styles, and the strategies that we already do. When you're talking about the business model, I think a lot of people make the mistakes. I know I certainly did at the beginning of creating the model around what we think we're supposed to be doing. Rather, and the whole lifestyle thing, like you said, so many people associate lifestyle with the abundance portion and not about the time, the freedom. For me, I think freedom is the most important part of that lifestyle.
Huge.
When you talk about having,
me too.
I plan my day. My kids come home at 3:15 right after our show, and I spend the first hour that they're home just with them, doing whatever they need to do. The first half hours of play, and then we do homework. They're in kindergarten; they already have homework. So yeah, having that lifestyle, I think, is so important. Building your business around the lifestyle instead of trying to fit your lifestyle into the business model is absolutely critical.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it's so important to us talking about this, Mark, because I think what happens is that a lot of people will set up a business the way they think it should be, you know, because they're being influenced by their colleagues, their peers, their mentors, and how they're doing things. And it might not necessarily be the right setup for them. So it's really thinking about what you want, you know, what you really want to design your life to look like. And a lot of people have to revisit this sort of a few years in, when they start to feel like their life is being taken over by their business in some way. And you know, so it's an important part.
And I think you touched on that with each of these 3 steps, how it's important to stick with what fits for you. The learning styles, the word that came up to me was joy. You know, you want to be able to enjoy doing what you're doing. So you might as well make it, you know, create it in a way that you're going to love doing it. I love being on Hangouts with people who I look up to and respect, and I get to ask questions and learn while I'm doing it. So this fits for me, but it may not fit for other people.
Yeah. Well, my sign off on my emails, Mark, is to your shining success and joy-filled visibility. So it is all about, you know, we want to embrace life. We want to enjoy what we're doing. And if we're not doing that in our businesses, you know, you might as well just go back to the old JOB and, you know, you slaving away for someone else, you know, which we don't want. We don't want that. We want to set it up so that it works for us. Yeah.
And then that leads right into the next question, because you were talking about strategies that we already do. And again, there are certain things that I'm already doing. When I first started, I was trying to do everything that I heard, and it was something else. And so it wasn't like I felt like I was really spread very thin. and it didn't seem like any of the strategies were working. How do you know when something's working and to stick with it, and when do you just throw it away and try something new?
Yeah, well, that's a really great question. Well, take something like LinkedIn or Facebook, for example. And again, let's throw out the whole you should be doing Facebook ads, for example, because it's the hot new thing. What we want to be doing is, first of all, asking ourselves, where is your audience hanging out? Where are they? What platforms are they using, basically, or where will you find them if you're finding them in person? So, for example, if you are, say, if you're a corporate coach, doing work with women in senior roles, for example, maybe helping them deal with stress in senior roles, you're not going to find them on Facebook. So if you're doing Facebook ads at the yin yang and you're wondering why you're not getting results, well, that will be a good reason. Or, if you're networking, for example, this is a very common mistake a lot of people make. So I'm talking about in-person networking. You've identified an audience, but what you actually end up doing is going to a networking group that maybe has maybe one or two of your ideal audience. Or you're going to an event, conference or an event filled with people, and they're the people you like to hang out with, but they're not necessarily your audience. Mm-hmm. So, there's lots of things to think about, when you're thinking about where you're choosing to spend your time on these visibility strategies. So, you can... The key is to pick a couple and make sure that they are a fit, with your ideal audience and where they're going to be hanging out. And then I think what you also alluded to is this kind of scattergun approach as well, Mark. And I think a lot of us do that too. We think we've got to try and do everything. And of course, the truth is that, when you are trying to do everything, it's very hard to be good at any one thing and see results from any one thing. So, part of that comes back down to just choosing, one or two things that really resonate with you, that your audience is going to respond to, and then take a big deep dive into it. Become an expert in that particular strategy. Some people will embrace YouTube as the videos and YouTube as a very big strategy, and they will really get to know how to use something like YouTube extremely well and use it in a way that's going to help them to see the results that they want. Again, if you dabble in things, you're going to get sort of dabbling results. It's not going to give you the results that you want. And it's the same with Facebook or LinkedIn. Choose one or two, and then just do a deep dive into them. Go do a course in them and really, get to know it. Or if you have someone on your team that really knows how to, make the most of it, then use them. That would be the key. And also, you don't want to make yourself crazy either, because part of it is if you're doing 20 different strategies, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You'll end up burning yourself out, is really what ends up happening as well. And I've seen a lot of people really struggle confidence-wise as well, because they've been working so hard in their business, like for a year or 2 years, and they're just not seeing the results because they're putting so much effort into so many things, and they're just not seeing the results coming from those. So there's lots to think about there.
There is, and I think that a lot of people that are watching this should feel relieved, knowing that you don't have to have 5 or 6 different strategies, knowing that, okay, I can just focus on 2. For me, at the beginning, everybody was talking about search engine optimization, 4 years ago, and that was at the end of it. Now we're looking at realizing that that's not really the most powerful way to get started. But so here I am blogging, and I love writing. And then after blogging for a couple months, I hated writing because I had to do it. I felt forced to do it.
Yeah, there are techniques on how to support the strategies that you choose. So for example, like with blogging, Mark, what I say to my clients when that starts to happen is, if you truly love writing, then blogging or writing articles is a great way to do it. But what you don't want to do is write a blog post or an article in the time frame where, oh, I must write an article now, let me just pull it out of the air.
Exactly.
Because that's when it gets really challenging. So I normally say to my clients, make notes of sparks of ideas that you have, and if you can write it there and then when you're in that moment of inspiration, that often is really helpful. And I find that that often happens for me after I've had a client call, when I've had a client session. That's often when I will write something because of something that sparked, from that conversation. So I always say write in the moment of inspiration if you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, that helps. And it's nice if you can have time set aside that is more of your creative time to
Yes.
kind of get into that flow. And having a process for being creative is helpful.
Yes, definitely.
And again, with blogging, I felt like I wasn't really getting the results, but I didn't know how to measure them. Is there something,
Yes.
some kind of indicator to know that something's working and something else is not? Like, is it by, okay, I've got these free sessions that I'm setting up, or I'm adding new subscribers to my list?
Well, I think that's a great question. We want to have an intention around what it is that we're doing with what we're doing. So, if you want to add subscribers, then, what you want to be doing is looking at ways to drive people to your website. Blogging is definitely one of them. I don't know that it's necessarily the hottest way to do it. Google is so iffy all the time. It's changing its what do you call them?
Algorithm.
Thank you. Their algorithms all the time, and you've got to be on top of that. But blogging is great because it really sets you apart in terms of seeing you as an expert in your field. And I found that if clients are checking me out, they are also going to my website and reading all my blog posts. So it's almost like a form of setting your standing on your expertise in your area, and they learn through reading your stuff that you know it. So blogging is great. I don't want to discount blogging. I think it's a fabulous way to drive traffic.
Absolutely.
I think there are lots of different platforms, and there are different ways to measure that. But I would say, first of all, you want to know why you're doing something. That's the key.
And then you made a really important comment about blogging. It's not just a way to drive traffic, but when people are there, it's a great way for them to know really who you are, the way that you express yourself,
Definitely.
the topics that are important to you. And so when you are watching a video, you don't know what's in it. You can kind of skim through a blog and pick out things and switch and go to something else. So it's great to have.
Yeah, definitely. But you can use those blog posts and repurpose blog posts. For example, I love repurposing. I'm lazy. I want to make sure that I've got the smartest, quickest, easiest way to use my information as much as I can. And so I want the easiest way to disseminate my information too. So you can use your blog posts to create a number of different things to create visibility. So it might be that you use that blog post and post it on LinkedIn on their published platform. Then you're getting lots of eyes, through LinkedIn. Or you're breaking it down into smaller posts and posting it on Facebook. And you have multiple posts, from one blog post, and you can drive traffic then from those platforms to your website through that link that you've put on Facebook with that post. So there are lots of ways to make your life a lot easier. We don't have to keep reinventing the wheel.
Absolutely. And again, I think going back to the simplicity of knowing, first of all, what is your business model, what are your learning styles, and what are the strategies that you're already doing. there are so many different strategies out there. Like we just mentioned SEO through blogging. You mentioned Facebook. There's just the Facebook posts as well as the Facebook ads. You got the LinkedIn. Just mentioned any kind of all the different social media. But then there's also other platforms like Google Hangouts, podcasts, and all this other stuff.
Absolutely.
If somebody's just starting off, how do they know where to turn first? Do you have a way to help people find out what's going to work for them if they haven't tried anything yet?
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the time, someone will be able to tell you straight away, there's one thing that is pulling them in some direction, so I've had a couple of people come to me who have set up podcast shows. I do the Keys to Clarity Radio, which is in essence a podcasting show that I've done for 8 years now. So they already have a sense that they want to do that. And sometimes someone will come to me and they'll say, it's one of the first questions I'll be asking them is, how do you love to communicate, with people? And so, someone will say writing. So writing means that we can really explore that. I think it's really great to be able to write anyway in this industry, because you do need to be able to write copy and things like that and express yourself. But you can leverage your writing, through blog posts, articles, writing a book, things like that. And then, if you like being in front of a camera, Google Hangouts is a great one, YouTube. So people tend to be pulled in a certain direction. If someone says something to me and it doesn't resonate based on what I'm hearing them saying about themselves and what they like and don't like, and then they pull something out of a hat, and it's because they've heard it's the big hottest thing, I will often challenge them a little bit on that. And say, you ready? this is what's going to happen. So it is good to think about this stuff.
And I think you being a natural intuitive, you can help people to go to where they're being drawn. Like I think you said, a lot of people already kind of know what they want, and you can kind of give them direction. But something you said earlier was about stepping outside of your comfort zone as well. So while you were saying what you're naturally drawn to, it came to me that sometimes for me, it's what I feel a natural resistance to. It's not about saying, oh, I'm doing it just because that's what everybody else is doing it. But I'm like, oh, I don't really want to be on video. Therefore, I want to push myself to be on video.
Yeah, and I think there's part of some of us, a lot of us are, A-type, driven. We want to like put ourselves out there and really do things well. But if we set an intention around something that doesn't come naturally or easily to us, that's where the resistance comes up. That's where the procrastination comes up, and you decide that you're going to do video, but that's not your really, you don't really feel comfortable putting yourself out there and, people seeing your face and talking and things like that. Chances are it's going to take quite a while for you to create some of those videos. So you've just got to be careful about that. If you are able to discipline yourself and, get going on it, then great, go for it. But it's a delicate balance, you've got to know yourself.
Absolutely. Yes. And that would lead into kind of my next question. For somebody who either is already beginning to get more visibility and wants to take it to the next level, or especially for somebody who really hasn't put themselves out there at all yet, beyond creating these different strategies, are there other things that we can do to prepare for being more visible?
That's a good question. There's probably a ton of things we can do. I think part of it is really about doing the inner work. Is a big part of it, because often the resistance to becoming visible or shouting our message out from the rooftop, so to speak, can cause some subconscious anxiety, and that will come out in different ways in terms of how we avoid doing things. Sometimes it's hard to see what we're doing until someone has a different perspective on what you're doing. So this is where it's really helpful to have a coach, you know, when you're growing your business, as you know, Mark, because sometimes we don't realize that we're holding ourselves back. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we know we're like stuck and we like, I don't know how to move forward, and it's really frustrating. And there's generally some inner work to be done there. And also sometimes, you know, it's your coach seeing what's going on, having sort of that bird's eye view of what's going on in your business, and then being able to create that awareness for you so that you can shift out of that. So there's a lot of the inner work stuff that needs to happen. And then, you know, I think part of it, the other part is also laying the foundations of your marketing system. And there's some key elements to that, you know, that everyone really needs to do in their business if they want to have a functioning business. And so, you know, part of that will be about having a website. What I would say to a lot of people, though, is don't rush into having a website if you don't know who your audience is right now. I find that a lot of my clients end up having to redo a whole load of stuff, you know, and that can be time, energy, expensive, you know. But you have got your website that you want to get done. You want to set up your autoresponder system. You want to make sure that you have a free gift of some kind. You know, I'm very hot on this particular topic. I love talking about free gifts and helping my clients to create them. But you know, that is a wonderful tool to use, not only to, you know, have people sign up and subscribe on your website, but also, you know, to use in your visibility strategies, if it's on LinkedIn and Facebook ads and networking. You know, to have some kind of free gift is going to be a big attractor to your audience, especially if it's speaking to something specific that they really want to hear about, and, you know, want to, you know, if it addresses a challenge that they want to solve.
And again, it kind of goes back to what you're saying about blogging, where when you have a free gift, people can get a taste for who you are, and you're giving them something that benefits them, so they already have value without even investing in you yet. And then they have that law of reciprocity, where now they're like, oh, I want to be part of our community, or, you know, I want to give back. So,
yeah.
You know, talking about free gifts, you have a free gift that you're offering to everyone that's listening today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're offering?
Great, thanks, Mark. Yeah, perfect segue. And I would just make a note to everyone, just a heads up, everyone, that this type of gift is the way that it's set out. It's actually a checklist, and also a self-assessment. And that is a really amazing gift to create if you are ready to create a gift. It's easy, and it's a great way to give value. And people love to learn about themselves. So, you know, we're all a little bit self-involved in that way. So we want to know about ourselves and where we are in the process. So I just wanted to give you a quick aside on this being a very, you know, cool type of gift to create.
Let me go a little bit further with that, because
yeah, go on.
No, and you're talking about an assessment, and it's a self-discovery tool, and it helps people understand where they are, especially as it's relating to visibility with this one.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a really powerful way to get somebody the very first step.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that you get to learn about, you know, what's going on with your audience. You know, when they fill something like this out, not only are they learning about themselves, but, you know, you get to learn about your audience too. So it's a really wonderful tool from that point of view. Anyway, we sidetrack, but the gift is the Visibility Top 10 Success Checklist. So what it is it's actually giving you a checklist of steps that you want to be taking to make sure that you have your visibility/marketing foundation in place. And at the same time, it's also allowing you to assess how well you're doing along that journey. You know, where are you on the journey, and how far have you come, and what needs more attention. So it's, you know, it literally takes a few minutes to fill it out. It really gives you sort of a good understanding of where you are in the process. And I've also added in a resource bonus guide. So for each step, I have created on the resource guide, there is a section which then gives you some resources to support your growth in that step along your journey. So.
That's very, very meaty. And just so everybody knows, you can either go to the button right below the video and just click on her free gift to go right to the page. Or if you're listening to this on audio, you can go to inspiredmessengersnetwork.com/visibility. Again, inspiredmessengersnetwork.com/visibility, and download the gift. And again, you go through the checklist, and then you actually offer resources to support them along each step.
Yeah, awesome.
And again, the whole idea of a gift, you mentioned this as a resource for them, a starting place for visibility. And then that leads into something that naturally is a progression from there. And you actually have a program that once they have some idea of where they are on the visibility path, to take them to the next step.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Well, once they have their checklist and they're going through the steps and they want more.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, thanks. So, I mentioned earlier about this program that I'm doing called the Visibility Jumpstart, and it really is just that. When you really want to figure out what these strategies are going to be for you, you have a sense of who your audience is. One of the bonuses to that program is actually a create your niche audio, which is like a training workshop that I did. So if you have a little bit of uncertainty in that area, it helps to support that. But the Visibility Jumpstart really is about a lot of what we've talked about today, but in more depth. It's looking at where your audience hangs out, what you want to, how you want to attract those people to your website and to sign up for your email list, how you want to attract clients, what you're going to do to do that, and what's going to be a good fit for you and your particular business. So I like to keep these groups that I do with the Visibility Jumpstart and the Niche Quest, I like to keep them somewhat smaller than a lot of other bigger groups tend to go. So I would say maximum between 20 to 30 people in that group, so that I can actually really support the individuals in the group and have these conversations that will help them to figure the stuff out for their specific needs. And it's a lot of fun. So a lot of great discussions. We talk about where your clients are, the strategies that are going to be the best fit for them and for you, and in terms of your learning style and the kind of business you want to set up. We talk about different tips and ways to leverage things like networking and speaking, and there are a number of different visibility strategies. So we want to figure out what they are and what's going to be the best fit for you. And then once we create that plan, part of the last week we step into creating your visibility map, and what that is a plan, to help you to step into this beyond the program. So it's an 8-week program. It starts actually on the 22nd of October, and so we'll take them through it. And then one of my bugbears is that people leave the program and then nothing happens, all over the show. And I don't want that to be the case with us. I want people to know what the next steps are and then what to do to move towards them, so they start to see those results being put in place. To learn more, you can go to visibilityjumpstart.com and check out the page. It's not completely complete, but it gives you a good sense of what's to come. And at the bottom there is actually an opportunity for people to put their name and email in if they would like to be kept up to date with what's coming. So there isn't a sales button or anything there. It's just really a let me know what's going on when it's happening, and it will be happening very shortly. So
excellent. And can you repeat that website again? You said visibilityjumpstart.com.
And also this is not just for people who are kind of in those first few years of business where they're trying to figure this stuff out. It's also for people who are trying to explore how to expand their reach with their message. So, you know, if you have, say, for example, a coaching practice where you have 10 clients and you've been trundling along and that's great, but now you actually want to do way more, you know, then this is a great opportunity for you as well.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I look at three major kind of phases of the messenger. There's the first one where the emergence is happening, when you're just starting to realize that you're a messenger. Then as you're actually going through the practice, and that's when you're really struggling sometimes to build the visibility. But then when you actually are becoming successful and you're busy, and now you're wanting more time, you want to scale your business without causing more time restrictions.
Yes.
It's really, really important to get that visibility so that you can, again, look at the model, your business model, in a way that creates more freedom. And the only way to do that is to get more visibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
It's not changing time for money kind of a thing, you know, where you can start to expand and leverage what you're doing.
And I think that anybody who's in that second or third phase can understand the value that you're offering them to be able to expand like that. One of the things that was kind of coming up for me as we were talking was the challenge that I've had with a lot of emerging visionaries or emerging messengers is for them to one, understand that they are special, that they have something to add, but then that whole fear that we talked about right at the beginning, that around being visible. I think that's something that you also can really help somebody out if they are having questions or doubts about that. Is there a way to contact you directly if somebody would like to speak with you on any of those levels?
Yeah, absolutely. You can email me at louise@keystoclarity.com. Louise@keystoclarity.com, or if you go to the Keys to Clarity website, you know, you'll see there's a contact page there as well, or a voicemail tab. You can even leave me a message on the page there. You can see it straight away when you go onto the website. So any of those ways is a great way to get in touch.
Fantastic. And again, I want to encourage everyone to download the free gift, the assessment tool. Just hit the button or go to inspiredmensengersnetwork.com/visibility and get started on that path, on that journey for yourself. So Louise, you've given a lot of information, but in a very concise way. Like I said, I think it's very structured and organized to help us kind of taking the next step in expanding our visibility. Are there any last words that you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
I think visibility often takes courage. And, you know, I know that, you know, for everyone out there who's listening, you know, that you have a message, a powerful message to share, or you have some powerful healing work to do. And by holding yourself back, you're actually holding back your gifts to the people who need it. And so you owe it not just to yourself, but to these people that you serve, to really step into this and be courageous around visibility. Get the support that you need to step into this in a way that feels good and feels comfortable, and to stretch yourself at the same time, because, you know, when you're stepping into something that doesn't feel comfortable, it is always going to be a stretch. And so what I say is just take courage, go for it.
I love that, the courage, and sometimes it takes more than others, but I think there's always an amount of courage that we need, and having somebody there behind us is also a helpful part of it. Another great part of having coaching is you feel more courageous when you know that you've got somebody watching your back.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, that's wonderful, and a great parting nugget before we say goodbye.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been wonderful as usual. I always enjoy our conversations. I don't know what it is. It's like there's something different that happens when you and I connect. So it's awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, Louise. Thank you so much for being here on the show, for being a part of my life, and being one of my mentors. I greatly appreciate that.
And likewise. Take care.
Thank you. And I also want to thank everyone that's watching. Just to kind of reiterate some of what Louise was saying, your story and personal experiences hold powerful lessons that can transform the lives of others while providing you a fantastic lifestyle of freedom, joy, and abundance. And we would love to help support you on that journey at the Inspired Messengers Network. You can learn more at inspiredmessengersnetwork.com and sign up as a free member. And most of all, I just want to remind you that you are a brilliant light in the world. So please keep shining brightly. Namaste.
Are we staying on for questions, Mark?
Yes, actually, I have a thing below. So if anybody does have questions, I was looking at the comments, and I see also on the comments, the chat section, if you have comments or questions, you can post them there. The only questions that I saw were actually already answered. It was about kind of taking the first step and how do we connect with you. So we've given out the website and the bonus gift. If anybody does have any other questions, let me go back and post to look at the comments. And if you're listening to the replay of this, again, post any comments below the video. We'll be able to respond to each of those. I'll make sure that Louise gets every comment that you post so that we can answer questions afterwards. Let me just check again. Yeah, I don't have any new questions. Again, I brought up the one during our call, so
okay, cool.
I feel like we're pretty complete.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for being here and listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Louise.
Bye-bye now.
Bye now.